My MOM writes the laws. You just quote them. Cameron Reed Hollister, 23, leans back and laughs loudly, almost as if he's putting on a show. He throws his comment at Judge Frank Caprio, acting like he has the upper hand. Mr. Hollister, this court enforces them. Do you understand the charges against you? I understand this is a formality. That's not what I asked. Cameron Reed Hollister's lawyer, Diane Kern, stands up slowly. Your Honor, my client is prepared to resolve this matter efficiently. We want to pay the fines and close the case this morning. Ms. Kern, please sit down. This court is not a payment portal. The words land quietly, but hard. Diane Kern hesitates, then sits. Caprio taps his pen once. Officer Clean, confirm the body cam audio is ready. Yes, Your Honor. Good. The officer steps forward. Docket number 24 to 9551. Commonwealth vs. Cameron Reed Hollister. Charges: reckless driving in a school zone. Failure to yield to a pedestrian in a marked crosswalk. Disorderly conduct, consisting of derogatory language toward an officer. Intimidation via political pressure. Citation issued by Traffic and Patrol Officer Louisa Montero, Monday at 8:47 a.m. Caprio leans forward. Mr. Hollister, did you receive a copy of the citation at the scene? I got it. Did you read it? I skimmed it. That's not the same thing. Ms. Kern, is your client prepared to address these charges in full today? Diane Kern stands up again, this time more carefully. Your Honor, we believe the appropriate resolution is an expedient one. My client has no prior record and is prepared to pay all fines today. Counselor, I didn't ask if he was willing to pay. I asked if he was prepared to address the facts. Now please, sit down. Caprio turns another page. There's a note here, an administrative warning from last year. Mr. Hollister was cited in the same school zone for doing 42 in a 25 miles per hour zone. He paid the fine but failed to attend the remedial driving course. It's not a criminal matter, but it is the context for the proceeding. Mr. Hollister, what happened in that incident? At first, Cameron shrugs. Then he speaks, I was late for class. I paid the fine. It's handled. Paying a fine closes the file. It doesn't change the behavior. This isn't today's offense. It's a habit. Diane Kern tries again, Your Honor, my client acknowledges he could have handled the situation on Monday better. He is here to take responsibility by paying the penalties and moving on. Ms. Kern, paying a fine teaches nothing except how to use a credit card. I want to understand what happened. Mr. Hollister, walk me through Monday morning. Cameron lets out an audible, exasperated sigh. I was driving to campus on Hope Street. I was late for an exam. The light was yellow. I went through it. A woman stepped into the crosswalk after I was already through. The cop pulled me over and made a huge deal out of nothing. You were traveling 53 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour school zone. The street was mostly empty. Mostly doesn't mean safe. It's an active school zone with crossing guards present. You failed to yield to a pedestrian in a marked crosswalk. She wasn't in danger. I was already past her. The evidence doesn't suggest that. Let me read you a line from the written statement provided by Ms. Henrietta Bishop, the pedestrian. I was one step away from a wheelchair. Cameron waves his hand dismissively. That's so dramatic. Nothing happened. His lawyer, Diane Kern, objects, Your Honor, we are talking about speculative harm that did not occur. The pedestrian was not injured. Counselor, harm isn't just impact, it's risk. Ms. Bishop was in a marked crosswalk, where she had the right of way. Your client's speed and failure to yield created imminent danger. That is not speculative. That is factual. Caprio turns to the officer standing by the side wall. Officer Montero, please read your narrative for the record. Officer Luisa Montero steps forward, calm and clear, and begins to read. At 8:44 a.m., I observed a white SUV traveling northbound on Hope Street at an estimated 53 miles per hour in a posted 25 miles per hour school zone. The vehicle approached a marked crosswalk, which a pedestrian, later identified as Henrietta Bishop, had entered. The vehicle did not slow down. It passed within approximately 3 feet of Ms. Bishop, who had to pull back to avoid a collision. I initiated a traffic stop. When I approached the driver, later identified as Cameron Hollister, he stated, "This is ridiculous." When I explained the violation, he photographed my badge and said, "You don't want my mom involved in your case." Caprio pauses, then turns back to the officer. Officer Montero, did you perceive that statement as intimidation? Yes, Your Honor. Cameron leans in. It was a taunt. I was pissed off. Let's listen. Officer Clean, play the audio from the body cam. Just the relevant exchange. A burst of static, then Cameron's voice, sharp and cutting, "You don't want my mom involved in your case." Caprio pauses. Officer Montero, did you perceive that statement as intimidation? Yes, Your Honor. Cameron leans forward. That was sarcasm. I was frustrated. Let's hear it. Officer Clean, play the body cam audio. Just the relevant exchange. A brief hiss of static, then Cameron's voice, clipped and sharp, "You don't want my mom on your case." Caprio waits in silence for a moment. Mr. Hollister, your mother is Congresswoman Elaine Hollister from Rhode Island's 2nd District, right? Yes. When you said, "You don't want my mom on your case," did you mean her role as a congresswoman? I was being sarcastic. Officer Montero, what did you think? I took it as a threat, Your Honor. Like, there would be consequences for me doing my job. Sarcasm doesn't stop cars, Mr. Hollister. Caprio turns to his clerk. Miss Reyes, were there any contacts to this court or the department regarding this case before today's hearing? The clerk flips through a log. Yes, Your Honor. One voicemail from a number registered to the office of Congresswoman Elaine Hollister, time-stamped at 9:34 a.m. Monday, approximately 47 minutes after the citation. Play the voicemail. A woman's voice, controlled and professional. This is a call from Congresswoman Hollister's office regarding case 24-9551. We want to discuss a quiet resolution of this matter before it proceeds. Please return this call at your earliest convenience. Diane Kern stands up. Your Honor, my client can't be blamed for calls made by others. This is unfair and doesn't relate to the charges. Overruled. Outside pressure matters. I'm not saying anyone broke the law. I'm just putting the facts on the record. That's being transparent. Cameron shifts in his seat. I didn't ask anyone to call. Maybe not. But someone thought it would help. Caprio looks at the clerk again. Is Ms. Henrietta Bishop available to give a brief statement? She is, Your Honor. By phone. Put her through. A woman's voice, steady and measured, fills the speaker. Thank you, Your Honor. I'm a retired high school teacher. I was crossing Hope Street at the marked crosswalk near Wheeler School at 8:44 a.m. Monday. I had the walk signal. I was halfway across when I heard a vehicle approaching at high speed. I looked up and saw a white SUV bearing down on me. I stepped back. The vehicle passed within 3 feet of where I'd been standing. If I hadn't stepped back, I would have been hit. Elementary school children were waiting on the opposite corner. They saw the whole thing. 1 second of speed costs a lifetime of mobility. Cameron mutters something under his breath. Caprio catches it. Mr. Hollister, if you have something to say, say it clearly. I said she should have waited. She had the right of way. You didn't. There's no gray area here. Henrietta Bishop continues. Your Honor, I don't want money. I want accountability. That school zone exists to protect children. Speed limits aren't suggestions. Thank you, Ms. Bishop. Your statement is on the record. The line clicks off. Caprio picks up another document. Ms. Reyes, this is a text message screenshot submitted by the prosecution. Can you read it? From Cameron Hollister to an unnamed contact. Timestamp 9:02 a.m. Monday. Got ticket. Mom says she'll fix it. NBD. Cameron's jaw tightens. That was private. It was discoverable. Mr. Hollister, let me lay out a timeline for you. Traffic stop at 8:47 a.m. Your text was sent at 9:02 a.m. Voicemail from your mother's office at 9:34 a.m. Someone moved fast. I didn't ask her to. But you expected it. And you told someone not to worry because your mother would fix it. That's not frustration. That's entitlement. Diane Kern stands again, slower this time. Your Honor, I'd like to request that the remainder of this hearing be handled in chambers to minimize public exposure. Media attention could create unfair bias. Ms. Kern, sunlight is due process. We're staying on the record. Caprio fixes Cameron with a calm, steady gaze. I'm going to ask you 3 yes or no questions. Were you driving 52 miles per hour in a 25 miles per hour school zone? Yes. Did you fail to yield to a pedestrian who had the right of way in a marked crosswalk? She stepped back. I didn't hit her. That's not a no. Did you fail to yield? Yes. Did you invoke your mother's position as a congresswoman during the stop? Cameron hesitates. I commented. That's not a no. Did you invoke her position? Yes. Your Honor, this feels like I'm being targeted because of who my mom is. Cameron's voice hardens. People speed through school zones every day and don't end up in court like this. You're not targeted. You're noticed. Most people don't drive 52 in a 25 miles per hour zone. Most people don't nearly hit a pedestrian in a crosswalk. Most people don't invoke a congresswoman's name during a traffic stop. Most people don't have their family office call the court an hour later. That's not targeting. That's a consequence. Diane Kern shifts in her seat. Your Honor, Mr. Hollister is a college student with no criminal record. One mistake shouldn't decide his whole future. I agree. That's why I'm treating this as a chance to learn, not a judgment on his character. The last speeding warning was a gentle reminder. This ticket is a clear message. If we don't make it clear now, next time it could be a child in that crosswalk who doesn't move fast enough. The room is silent for several seconds. Cameron looks down at the table. Diane Kern holds her pen in the air. Officer Montero stands quietly by the wall. Then Caprio speaks softly. Accountability gets quiet so truth can be heard. Here's my finding. The evidence supports all 4 charges. Officer Montero's narrative is credible and corroborated by body cam audio, crosswalk CCTV timestamp, and Ms. Bishop's statement. Mr. Hollister drove recklessly at more than double the speed limit in an active school zone. He failed to yield to a pedestrian who had the right of way, creating imminent danger. He directed contemptuous remarks at Officer Montero. He invoked his mother's position in a manner that Officer Montero reasonably perceived as intimidation. Caprio pauses. This court does not weigh cases based on titles, connections, or family position. Conduct is the only currency here. Mr. Hollister, your mother's office does not have the authority to intervene. Your status does not erase harm. Influence doesn't amend reality. He turns a page. I also note the prior speeding warning from last year. Same zone, same speed. You paid the fine but learned nothing from it. That warning was instructional. This ruling is educational. The base fines total $850. Reckless driving in a school zone, $400. Failure to yield to a pedestrian, $150. Disorderly conduct, $100. Intimidation via political leverage, $200. Cameron exhales sharply. Caprio holds up a hand. I'm not finished. I'm staying a portion of that total, $350, contingent on your full and timely completion of a restorative accountability plan. If you complete it, that portion is remitted. If you don't, it will be reinstated. Here's what the plan requires. First, a written apology to Henrietta Bishop. Not a form letter, a real apology that names what you did and what you learned. You will deliver it in person if Ms. Bishop agrees to meet you. If she declines, you'll mail it. Second, 60 hours of community service with the Providence School Safety Program. You'll assist with crosswalk awareness education, help coordinate crossing guard schedules, and work directly with elementary schools. Third, you'll assist with 3 driver education seminars focused on school zone safety. Fourth, you'll write and record a 60-second public service announcement on pedestrian safety in school zones. The script will be vetted by this court. No mention of your family. Fifth, you'll complete a driver reflection course covering the physics of speed. Sixth, you'll submit a 700-word written reflection on what you learned. Caprio sets his pen down. Mercy isn't a discount, it's a contract. Additionally, I'm making the following recommendations on the record to the Municipal Court, the Traffic Division, and the Office of the Congresswoman. 1. Establish a weekly, ex parte, contact log. Any off-record communication attempts will be documented and posted publicly. 2. Implement a mandatory recusal or supervisor co-sign protocol. If any staff member is contacted by an elected official or their office. 3. Develop a citywide pedestrian safety enforcement matrix. 4. Launch a court hotline for influence attempts. 5. Distribute a high school education module on pedestrian awareness. Help spread this message. The door opens. A woman in a dark suit enters, mid-50s, salt and pepper hair, the practiced posture of someone used to podiums and press. Your Honor, I'm Congresswoman Elaine Hollister. I want a moment to discuss my son's case. Caprio doesn't stand. Congresswoman, this is an active hearing. You're welcome to observe, but I won't discuss the case with you outside the record. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm simply asking to resolve this matter quietly for everyone's benefit. Congresswoman, quiet resolutions are how patterns continue. This case is being handled on the record in open court like every other case. Cameron interrupts. Mom, stop. This is my case, not yours. Congresswoman Hollister turns toward him, surprised. Caprio's gaze sharpens. This is not your case to manage, Congresswoman. Your son has counsel. He has a voice. Step back and let him use it. The Congresswoman hesitates, then nods and moves to the back row. Over the next 8 weeks, Cameron works through the plan step by step. In the first week, he writes an apology, but the court rejects it for being too vague. He rewrites it, and it's better. Henrietta Bishop agrees to meet him and says, "You didn't see me as a person. You saw me as an obstacle." From weeks 2 to 6, Cameron spends 60 hours with the Providence School Safety Program, assisting crossing guards and educating them on crosswalk safety. One crossing guard tells him, "Every car that slows is a kid who gets home." In week 6, he helps with 3 driver education seminars. In week 7, he records the PSA. His first version mentions, "my family's commitment to safety," but the court asks him to redo it without mentioning his family. The second version is approved. The driver reflection course takes 2 more weeks, and he finishes it. In the end, he logs 60 hours, completes 3 seminars, and makes a positive change in his behavior. Henrietta Bishop tells the court, "He showed up. He listened. That's more than I expected." 8 weeks after the initial hearing, Cameron returns to court. Alone. No counsel, no mother, no entourage. Caprio reviews the submitted documents, the apology, the service log, the PSA, the certificate, and the reflection. Mr. Hollister, I've read your reflection. I want to hear you summarize it. No script. Cameron stands. I thought speed limits in school zones were about tickets. I didn't understand they exist because kids misjudge speed. When I failed to yield to Ms. Bishop, I didn't just break a rule, I also broke a principle. I forced a woman to choose between her right-of-way and her safety. He pauses. I also didn't realize how much I leaned on my mother's position. I've spent my whole life assuming someone would smooth things over. When I said what I said to Officer Montero, I wasn't being sarcastic. I was using power I didn't earn. That's intimidation. What did you learn from Ms. Bishop? That people aren't obstacles. She had every right to be in that crosswalk. I had no right to make her step back to survive. What did you learn from the crossing guards? That every car that slows is a kid who gets home. Speed isn't just about time. It's about lives. Caprio nods. You stopped borrowing power and started earning character. He signs a form. I'm remitting $250 of the state portion. You still owe $600 total. You'll pay it in installments. Thank you, Your Honor. Don't thank me. Thank the people who taught you what I couldn't. 4 months later, the policies take root. The weekly, ex parte, contact log is published. The pedestrian safety enforcement matrix is adopted citywide. Crosswalk violations drop by 34%. Cameron's PSA is distributed to 21 high schools. One parent emails the court, "My daughter watched that video and slowed down near her school. She said she didn't want to be that driver. Thank you." On a quiet Friday afternoon, Caprio finishes his last case. Before leaving, he writes a principle on a note card and pins it, "Power that doesn't listen becomes cruelty." He thinks of Cameron Hollister, of Henrietta Bishop stepping back to survive, of elementary school children watching from the corner. He turns off the light and locks the door. "My mom can buy you." Ella Victoria Roth, 19, says the words before the case is even called. She sounds casual and almost bored, like she's just ordering coffee. What happens next will have this entitled teenager in handcuffs in under 31 minutes. By the end, you'll see why some judges don't let wealth override justice. Judge Frank Caprio sets his pen down. "Ms. Roth, you're addressing a court of law. That statement is now on the record. Do you understand what that means?" "I understand my mother owns half this city." "Your mother owns property. She does not own this bench. Sit down." Ella shrugs. Her attorney, who is actually the one her mother sent, stands up quickly. "Your Honor, my client is young and, counselor, your client just made a statement that undermines the integrity of this proceeding. We'll address that. First, let's establish the facts. Miss Lewis, call the case." The clerk stands. Case number 2025, TR 47286, Commonwealth vs. Ella Victoria Roth. Charges: speeding 68 miles per hour in a posted 35 miles per hour school zone during active hours, reckless operation, failure to obey a lawful order. Caprio looks at Ella. "Ms. Roth, before we proceed, I want you to understand something. This is not a negotiation. This is a court of law." The attorney tries again. "Your Honor, we're prepared to pay the fines and resolve this matter today. Counselor, this court is not a payment portal. Your client was clocked at nearly double the speed limit in an active school zone. We will review the evidence. Officer Ramirez, please take the stand." Officer Teresa Ramirez steps forward, raises her right hand, and takes the oath of office. "Officer Ramirez, please read your incident narrative into the record." "Yes, Your Honor. On Tuesday, October 15, at 8:47 a.m., I was conducting speed enforcement on Elmwood Avenue near Carver Elementary School. The school zone was active, beacon flashing. Speed limit 35. Using LiDAR, I clocked a black sports sedan traveling westbound at 68 miles per hour. She pauses. I activated my lights and siren. The vehicle did not stop immediately. It continued for approximately 2 blocks before coming to a stop. When I approached the driver, later identified as Ella Roth, I requested her license and registration. She stated, "Call my lawyer first." I explained that was not how traffic stops work. She stated, "Do you know who pays your salary?" I issued citations for speeding, reckless operation, and failure to obey the law. Caprio makes a note. Officer Ramirez, you have body cam footage of this stop, correct? Yes, Your Honor. Play the body cam audio. Just the relevant exchange. There's a brief hiss of static. Then Ella's voice comes through, sharp and dismissive, "Do you know who pays your salary?" Caprio lets the silence sit for a moment. "Ms. Roth, did you make that statement to Officer Ramirez?" "Yeah." "So what?" "So context matters. Officer Ramirez was performing her duties. You attempted to intimidate her by invoking financial authority. Speed is physics, not privilege." Caprio turns to the clerk. "Miss Lewis, were there any contacts to this court regarding this case prior to today's hearing?" The clerk flips through a log. "Yes, Your Honor. 2 incoming calls and 1 voicemail, all from a number registered to Roth Capital Group Legal Counsel. First call at 9:23 a.m. Voicemail left at 9:58 a.m. Play the voicemail." A professional, measured voice fills the courtroom. "This is a call on behalf of Victoria Roth regarding case 2025-TR 47286. We'd like to discuss a quiet resolution before the matter proceeds to a hearing. Please return this call." The attorney stands. "Your Honor, my client is not responsible for calls made by her mother's office. This is prejudicial." Overruled. Pressures on process belong on the record. Miss Lewis, timeline the contacts. Yes, Your Honor. Traffic stop at 8:47 a.m. First call from Roth Capital Legal at 9:23 a.m. That's 36 minutes after the stop. Caprio looks at Ella. "Ms. Roth, did you contact your mother after the stop?" "I texted her." "Miss Lewis, do we have that text in evidence?" "Yes, Your Honor. Screenshot recovered during the stop. Text from defendant to contact labeled Mom. Timestamp 9:02 a.m. Got cited. She'll make calls. Don't sweat it." Caprio reads the text slowly. "Expectation of rescue is not a defense, Ms. Roth." Miss Lewis, does Ms. Roth have prior traffic citations on record? "Yes, Your Honor. 3 prior speeding citations in the past 18 months. All marked, resolved by counsel. No personal appearances by the defendant." Caprio looks at Ella. "You've been cited 3 times in 18 months, and you've never appeared in court personally. Is that correct?" "My lawyer handles it." "Your lawyer pays your fines. That's not accountability." There's a pause. "Ms. Roth, do you understand that school zones exist to protect children?" "I guess." "You guess." Caprio's voice drops. "Officer Ramirez, were children present during the stop?" "Yes, Your Honor. A crossing guard was posted. Approximately 20 students were crossing Elmwood at the time." "Ms. Roth, you were driving 68 miles per hour past 20 school children. Do you understand the stopping distance at that speed?" Ella shrugs. "I stopped fine." "You stopped 2 blocks after the officer activated her lights. That's not fine. That's defiance." Caprio leans forward. His voice is quiet now, almost dangerously so. "Ms. Roth, I want to return to your opening statement. You told this court, and I quote, "My mom can buy you." Do you stand by that statement? I mean, she probably could. The attorney stands quickly. Your Honor, my client is young and doesn't understand. Counselor, your client is 19. She's an adult. Ms. Roth, let me be clear. Are you stating on the record that your mother could purchase this court? Ella smirks. My mom has dinner with the mayor every month. She funds half the charities in this city. So yeah, if she wanted to make a call, this goes away. Miss Lewis, read that back from the stenographer's record. The clerk reads slowly, deliberately, quote, "My mom has dinner with the mayor every month. She funds half the charities in this city. So yeah, if she wanted to make a call, this goes away." End quote. 5 seconds go by. Then 7. Then 10. Then 12. That's how long arrogance challenged authority. Then Caprio speaks. His voice is soft, but everyone hears it clearly. Ms. Roth, you just told this court that your mother's wealth and connections could make a lawful citation disappear. That statement is a direct challenge to the integrity of this proceeding. Do you understand that? Caprio straightens in his chair. Here's my finding on the traffic citations. The evidence is clear and uncontested. LiDAR reading of 68 in a 35 miles per hour school zone, corroborated by body cam. Approximately 20 children were present. The vehicle failed to stop for 2 blocks. The defendant refused to provide a license. He pauses. I find the defendant guilty on all 3 counts. Base fines total $1,200. Additionally, I'm imposing a 90-day license suspension, effective immediately, and mandatory enrollment in a driver safety course. Caprio looks directly at Ella. Consequences teach what privilege hid. But everyone in the courtroom can tell this isn't over. But we're not finished, Ms. Roth. Your statements, both to Officer Ramirez and to this court, are far more serious. He sets down his pen. When you told Officer Ramirez, "Do you know who pays your salary?" you attempted to intimidate a public servant. When you told me, "My mom can buy you," you attacked the legitimacy of this court. Direct contempt of court is conduct that occurs in the immediate presence of the court and obstructs justice. Your statement was deliberate. It undermines public confidence in the judicial process. Caprio's voice becomes even more measured. Here's what concerns me most, Ms. Roth. You didn't just insult me. You told every person in this courtroom that justice is for sale. That wealth determines outcomes. That is not how this system works. Not in this courtroom, not on my watch. For direct contempt of court, I'm sentencing you to 30 days at the adult correctional institutions. You'll be eligible for review after 15 days if you demonstrate reflection. The courtroom goes silent. Officer Wilson, take Ms. Roth into custody. The bailiff moves forward. Ella's smirk vanishes. Her face goes from confident to confused to terrified in 3 seconds. Wait, what? You heard the ruling, Ms. Roth. Officer Wilson, please proceed. The attorney is on his feet, panicked now. Your Honor, my client didn't mean, Counselor. Your client said exactly what she meant, twice, on the record. Officer Wilson. The sound of handcuffs clicking echoes through the silent courtroom. It's the only sound in the room. S face goes pale. Her hands start shaking. You can't do this. My mom will, your mom will do nothing, Ms. Roth. This is direct contempt. It's immediate. You'll be transported within the hour. Officer Wilson gently but firmly guides Ella's hands behind her back. The second cuff clicks into place. Ella looks around the courtroom, searching for someone to help her. No one moves. The attorney tries one more time. Your Honor, please, she's just a kid she's 19 years old. She's an adult who told a judge her mother could buy him. She leaves in handcuffs. Officer Wilson begins to lead Ella toward the side door. Her designer heels click on the marble floor. Each step echoes. She turns back one more time. This isn't over. Caprio doesn't even look up. Miss Lewis, make a note. For the record, the time is now 10:31 a.m. 31 minutes from the call of the case to custody. The door closes behind Ella Victoria Roth. Next case, please. Day 15, review hearing. 15 days later, Ella appears for her review hearing via video from the ACI. She's wearing a standard-issue jumpsuit. Her hair is pulled back. No makeup. No jewelry. She looks different now, smaller and quieter. Ms. Roth, you requested this review. What do you want to say? Ella looks directly at the camera. Your Honor, I was wrong. I thought money meant power. I thought my mother's success meant I didn't have to follow the rules. I was arrogant. I was disrespectful. I endangered children. And then I insulted the officer and the court. I'm sorry. Caprio observes her. Ms. Roth, is that statement your own words, or did someone write it for you? It's mine, Your Honor. I've had 15 days to think. I'm ashamed. Good. Shame is the beginning of change. Pause. Here's my ruling. I'm reducing your custody to time served, 15 days. But I'm imposing a restorative accountability plan. If you fail to complete it, the remaining 15 days will be reinstated. You'll complete 200 hours of community service with the Providence School Safety Program. Specifically, you'll serve as a crossing guard assistant in the exact school zone where you were speeding. You'll work morning and afternoon shifts, in all weather. You'll write and deliver in-person apologies to Officer Ramirez and the principal of Carver Elementary. You'll write and record a public service announcement on school zone safety. This court will vet the script. No branding, no family mentions, plain truth. Do you accept these terms? Yes, Your Honor. Then you're released today. Don't make me regret this, Ms. Roth. I won't, Your Honor. Thank you. 4 months later, final hearing. Ella returns to court. Same courtroom. Same judge. Different person. Caprio reviews the documents, including service logs, apology confirmations, PSA recordings, and compliance reports. Ms. Roth, summarize what you learned. Ella stands. This time, she looks Judge Caprio in the eye. I learned that rules aren't obstacles, they're protections. I learned that my mother's money doesn't make me special. And I learned that respect comes from character, not net worth. She pauses. When I told a judge, my mom can buy you, I wasn't showing power. I was showing how little I understood about power. Real power is the officer who kept her composure when I tried to intimidate her. Real power is the judge who refused to let wealth override justice. Real power is the crossing guard who stands in the cold every morning to keep kids safe. That's real power. And I had none of it. Caprio nods slowly. You stopped borrowing power and started earning character. He signs the final order. This matter is closed. Don't come back here, Ms. Roth. I won't, Your Honor. As Ella walks out, she passes Officer Ramirez in the hallway. They make eye contact. Ramirez nods once. Ella nods back. No words are needed. On a quiet Friday afternoon, Caprio pulls up the docket from that Tuesday. The one where Ella Roth said, "My mom can buy you," and left in handcuffs 31 minutes later. He writes a single note in the margin of his bench book: "The bench is not for sale." It never was. It never will be. He thinks of Ella standing in the cold school zone, holding a stop sign. He thinks of the children crossing safely, of Officer Ramirez staying calm, and of justice, imperfect, but still present. He closes the book, turns off the light and locks the door behind him.